5 pillars of personal training are my 5 secret success weapons to help me study and make sure that I'm practicing for the gig. If you're like me and you're a purveyor of biomechanics, you'll know that there's an endless pool of information that you can learn from. And even now, there are courses I want to redo, reinvest in. I could probably spend $10,000 tomorrow on programs to keep learning about things that get me excited. But the reason why I talk about the 5 pillars of personal training in reality is your business has a target audience. If your business is successful, by the way, you got a target audience. If you're feeling like you're floundering, we got to talk about that. But if you have a target audience, and we've got these Pat 65s I like to talk about, these 65-year-old professional people who are struggling with joint pains, and they're trying to resolve them, and they try everything, massage, physio, chiropractic, and they are actively trying to resolve them because they are people who are active seekers, and they try these things and they don't get better over time, and they're looking for a long-term solution. That's where I fit in. And so when I think of these 5 pillars of personal training that we're going to go over right now, these are my 5 pillars that I use for studying to help make sure that my skills are focused towards my ideal target audience. And so one of my favorite musician teachers said, you got to practice for the gig. So 5 pillars. The first one is technical. What technical skills and exercise science and anatomy and biomechanics are you learning that is practical to your ideal target audience? If you have a client that comes in with a hip replacement, are you studying the anatomy components and the exercise processes that you need to do for the hip replacements, or are you studying nervous system anatomy because you're interested? If that's the case, that's fine, but you may be wasting time over here where you could be practicing skills that could help you make more money later focusing on hip replacement people. 2, communication. You got to get your words dialed in. You got to understand visual learners, kinetic learners, auditory learners. You got to know Albert Morabian's 7-38-55 communication rules so that way you can actually make sure that the things that you're thinking of come out of this percussion piece of your mouth and connect with those people. So you got to have your communication dialed in. And in my opinion, working on your communication is the number one thing that trainers can do as far as a skill that goes so far. You got to have some level of business acumen. And I hate saying this, but you got to be punctual. You got to have business systems. You got to know how to track people. You got to know your ideal target audience, and you have to know about marketing messaging so you can reach those people. You have to practice working on your business. And so already these 3 things already show you that of the 3, working on the technical stuff is literally a third of the first 3. We need to spend an equal amount of time working on communication and business. Now, my 4th is my personal favorite. It's creativity. I truly believe that if you work on being creative on a musical instrument, my drums here, on the gym floor within an exercise, and you create limitations around a scenario, that creativity will give you endless options. And one of the things I learned from the resistance training specialist program was that amazing equation that you may know. And if you take that same equation and you put it around one exercise and you go, we're only going to work on time variables today, that limitation helps you focus on time and coming up with dozens of time variation based exercises in that same scenario. That limitation and improvisation goes a far way, so that way when you're working with someone, you got to be creative on the spot. You got the tools that you need. And the 5th one, I do say, is mastery. And it's a cheesy one, but in reality, we should always be reviewing the things that we've learned, the pillars. We got to double down on the things that work. So if you know that studying Albert Morabian's 7-38 and 55 communication wheel has been beneficial to you, can you learn more about things around that? Can you review it and get better at doing face-to-face contact, because we know body language is a big part of that 55%. So those 5 pillars of personal training are my personal study guides, the practice for the gig. And if you're like me, I would suggest writing down those 5 things and actually write out exactly what you're going to focus on this month to help optimize your studying for your ideal target audience, or what I like to say, your client avatar.